Hey there, this is Matthew Jennings, and on this episode of Peachjar Extra Credit, I am here with Kerri Baker from Dodge City Public Schools, and we're talking about some of the unique challenges they face there in Dodge City and some of the unique ways that Communications Office and the staff supports some of the things that they're doing and the initiatives that they have going on there. So stick around, it's going to be a good one. Kerri, thank you so much for joining me today. We are here at the CANSPRA conference. CANSPRA is 50 years old as an association.
Absolutely. A big celebration. We're having a terrific time.
Absolutely. Beautiful new logo. Really fun birthday party the first night of the conference. So thank you for taking time out of the conference. I know you've already taken time away from your district to be here. So I know you're super busy. I just really want to say thank you very much. In talking to you, I just found your story really unique and some of the things that Dodge City is doing really unique. And so thank you for sharing out here with the rest of us, because I think we can all learn some tips and strategies from some of the work that you're engaged in now. So if you wouldn't mind, just tell us all a little bit about yourself, your background, your role, and a little bit about your district.
Oh, Matthew, thank you so much. I'm happy to share with you. I love telling Dodge City Public Schools stories. My name is Kerri Baker. I'm the Director of Public Information in Dodge City. I grew up south of Dodge City, so apart from going to school and a couple of jobs away from that area, Dodge City has been home to me for many, many years.
That's awesome. And what are some of the demographics? How large is Dodge City? How many students?
Okay, we have over 7,200 students. Okay. Absolutely. Right at this moment is 216 students. We've had our official count day. Awesome. But we serve that many students in our district. Our high school is 2,200 students at this time.
Big school.
So we're one of the 5th largest high schools in Dodge City. And we have kind of an interesting economic and demographic story to tell. We are 79% Latino in our district. We serve over 20 different languages. So even though we're in Western Kansas and we're a very ag-centric area of the world, we are a very, very urban population. So there are some communication pieces that are a little bit challenging for us.
Yeah, the diversity there is really unique. So 5th largest high school in the state of Kansas.
In the state of Kansas, yes.
Wow. That's
we're a 6A school.
Big.
We're incredibly proud of where we're from. We're proud of our people. There's a lot of grit and determination that go into that. We love our teachers. Because I'm going to say, by and large, they all just care and love and love and love our students, and they want the very best for them. Our students may come to us with maybe not a lot of skills in formal education or being in a classroom, but they come with terrific stories and skills that they have had and survived with to get to the point where they're at.
Well, that's beautiful. And that really goes, I know working in California, we have a lot of districts in California that are like that as well, where there's influxes of the populations and students that come in that just, they don't have some of the formal education or the level of education that the other students in the classroom had been receiving up to that point, right? And so how do you bring them up to speed? And then for me personally, also, how do you tell the story behind some of those journeys as well? Because there's a lot of work and a lot of love and attention and the time staff put into their success and that the students put into their success, and I just remember talking to a student a few years back, and she had just come from Mexico, was embarrassed about the fact that she spoke broken English. And I had somebody, an intern with me that was translating, and I just said, would you please tell her, I speak one language. I'm impressed, very, very impressed that she speaks as much as she does, because she's already way more versed in other languages than I'll probably ever be.
Absolutely.
Right?
So many of our students are multilingual. Matter of fact, some of our families, there's 3 or 4 different languages being spoken. So that when you think about that, what does that mean, right? But I first want to say our superintendent has been with the district for 5 years. He came in and his mantra is every encounter is important. And so from the top down, we really talk about every single day, it is the encounters that we have with our students, our families, keeping them first, and how do we serve them best. So from that, we have developed a couple of programs for some of these students that maybe come in at, when you're talking about near high school level, they come in with some skills where maybe they won't be able to graduate from a school in the state of Kansas because of the grade levels that maybe
Yeah.
they've missed or they've not had. We have a complete program where we have 3 educators that teach them math, social studies, and how to speak English and how to have life skills to be productive citizens of our community because they're going to most likely stay, live in our community, have families. And so we want them
That's
to
great.
have that great experience. Alongside that comes our business partners who have just loved on them, brought
That's great.
financial resources, training resources,
Hmm.
those kind of things to really, really help this student people group move forward and be successful in our community. We also know because we live where we live in our state, western part of the state, that sometimes maybe we don't get all of the eyes and ears on some of the programs
Right.
that we're doing. So we bring in legislators, we have advocates, we spend a lot of time talking with these people, bringing them in for tours, letting them have interactions with our students. We have a reporter we work closely with, and he comes from the Topeka Capital Journal,
Wow.
and he comes out and visits with us and tells the stories of our students. I have one student that started out in this particular program, then became my intern for 4 or 5 months.
How
We
lucky.
had him in our public information office. He really worked hard on communicating with our families and communicating with other students in similar situations. I'm proud to say he is now a local manager at the McDonald's.
No
He
way.
is going to be planning to go on to our local community college, Dodge City Community College.
Cool.
We are in touch frequently, and I'm just checking in with Jesus to see how he is doing. But it's every single student, even as a public information director,
Mhm.
to have the impact on these students. I know that it's a very important role that all of us, no matter whether we're in nutrition or maintenance custodians, the expectations are laid for all of us that we are to help our students achieve.
Do you know if Jesus wants to pursue a career in communications or marketing, anything like that?
Possibly, but he is very entrepreneurial.
Oh,
So
okay.
I believe he's going to have a business on his own,
Okay.
but
Okay.
he absolutely has a great handle on how to start sharing his story and marketing and getting responses
That's
and
great.
yeah, his interaction and engagement was terrific. So that's just one, maybe one small piece of one of those stories that we're very proud of in Dodge City, but there are many.
What does a visit look like? How far away are you from the state capital of Topeka, in Dodge
So it
City?
would take us 5.5
That's a
hours.
long
Yes.
trip.
So, we are out there a
Yeah,
ways.
yeah, it's a long trip.
Yes.
So when you say you have like legislators and maybe people with some political clout come out and visit, what does a visit look like? How can you talk to me about walk me through
Absolutely.
what you're showing them and how's that curated?
Absolutely. First, we talk with our academic services team and we let them know what we're doing with curriculum and how we've worked on aligning curriculum and having translation pieces available
Mhm.
for students and for families. We use a communication platform that is preference, your
Oh,
language
yeah,
preference, teacher to parent, parents back to the teacher, also in the school buildings, and then from the district out. So
that's
we're
great.
we made a very big move and invested in that to make sure that communication was very simple for our families.
That's great.
So that was step number one. Back to academic services. We bring them in so they can see what we're doing with our curriculum. We also have a very expanded ESOL department, and they are very connected in the state. As a matter of fact, our students will be coming to the governor's on her request
No way.
to do a display for Day of the Dead
Hmm.
and walk through all of that. So we are very involved with that and continue to have those great relationships. So working through our ESOL department,
Hmm.
our parent liaisons, where they do porch visits. I mean, they go see
Wow.
families. So that's what we expect to do. We also take advantage of our local radio station. We've got
It's
La
good.
Mexicana, which reaches approximately 70% of our Latino speaking
That's a
families.
lot.
So we speak with them every week. We're on the radio talking to them. How else can we speak with them? We work closely with our beef production plants
Mhm.
so that we can also be sharing information to our parents.
And that's interesting too. I hear from some districts leaning into the radio space, and they all talk about how effective it is. But I would say that I don't hear from a lot of districts that they lean into that space. In fact, I hear I hardly hear from districts at all that lean into the radio space, but the ones that do, that are talking to the local DJs and on the local radio stations, they talk about how impactful that is and how big the audience is for that.
Absolutely. It's a shout out to Rockingham Media. We have a great relationship with them. And the other pieces are just 2 blocks from my office.
That's nice.
So it's a really quick it's a really quick way to get over there and into the studios. But we've just made it a point. We used to do that sporadically, but I found through research and polling our families that they really found that very helpful. And we're able to share great stories. Like we talk about some of the good things. We also may talk about if there's a situation that we know that's going to be problematic, or maybe something happened last week that maybe some parents were concerned about, even though they heard from us with any kind of immediate communication. They hear from us directly, but then to go on and talk a little bit more about that.
That's great. So if you're not leaning into radio, definitely something to look at.
For us, it's a win. It's local medium,
Yeah.
yes, and one of the best ways to reach our families.
Know your community, of course, do your research, but it may be an effective mode.
Sure,
You
we
said
use social
something-
media. We use all
Oh,
of the
of
other
course.
platforms,
Yeah.
absolutely. But this one
The givens.
particular, we can have many different conversations. We have an attendance officer who works full time for us, working with elementary, middle, and high school students. But he speaks Spanish and he is on La Mexicana and he's touching base with those families
So cool.
every other week, just talking about the importance maybe of being in the classroom as many, every day, unless
Yeah.
you're homesick, but every day.
Attendance matters.
Yes.
It
Yes,
really
it does.
does. I mean, what another great way. I mean, we all know attendance matters and we all know we're doing those campaigns, but here's
Right.
another great way out there on the radio for parents to hear this and have that point driven home through a different medium, which is great. I mean, I was talking to St. Louis Public Schools about a month or so ago, and they were talking about the success they've had on radio, the success they've had on television ads as well, and ads in movie theaters. And I mean, it all goes back to getting your voice out there. So radio, if you haven't checked it out, it came up again here today.
Wow. It's been a terrific move for us.
That's really cool. And you mentioned something else I want to go back to as well, which is leaning into your business partnerships. So maybe we can talk about that just a little bit. But I know at Peachjar, we found that a lot of local businesses want to help. They want to be involved with the local school system, but they just don't know where to start or what that looks like.
Absolutely, because really we are raising up part of their
Yes.
workforce. And
Yes.
so it really needs to be a very close relationship. We have one dedicated position at our district, and we're fortunate to be able to do that, where she really connects with those business partners to bring them in. So of course we have our career technical pathways, but the other ways that we get them involved through our JROTC program and helping us with some of those pieces, they are always willing to step up and help.
That's cool.
So we do have a very great relationship with 2 of the largest employers in the district. They will provide funding for us. They provide educational opportunities for us. If we have something that's coming up that's a big need, many times we're in conversation with them. If we're making changes at the school, they're the first ones that we contact because that affects a very large group of their employees. So
Makes
we
sense.
make sure that we talk with them often.
That's awesome. So talk to me about how you're leveraging the power that you have in the communications office to tell the stories of the students who have come to you. They don't have the same skill set that the students in the classroom have, but you're pouring resources, staff are pouring resources into them. They're putting in the hard work. Tell me how you're telling those stories. Because I find personally those are like some of the most beautiful stories and the most heartwarming stories for me. In one of my previous districts, we had a high school dedicated to just those students that just needed that additional support and love. And when it came to graduation every year, I cried every single year just listening to the adversity that they had to overcome, the hard work, you said grit, the determination, all of the challenges they had to work through to be a successful student always moved me. So talk to me about how you're telling some of those stories.
First, you have to establish trust. You have to have trust with the department. And so that was initially me working very much with the educators that were working with these students. And I worked closely with our ESOL department and parent liaisons. But we would tell the stories too with some of the events that we would have for them because we wanted them to have like a picnic and some of those things that many of the activities we've taken for granted, some of these students did not have those opportunities. So it was through that, learning then about some of their friend groups that were put together, and then knowing that maybe they worked they were working and then they came and they went to class because they are choosing to come in and learn
Yeah.
to help themselves. And so there is always this there, you know what? They just work very, very hard. And by appreciating that hard work and some of those milestones that they're making, there's just some tremendous, like you said, stories, but individual achievement that comes out
Hmm.
of that. And our educators, again, because they truly, truly care for them, we just make sure they're protected, but we also make sure that we're sharing the good
Yes.
news with our community, with our legislators.
Yeah.
Our governor is very interested in that, and so we're very grateful to Governor Kelly for the attention that she has given our
So
school
good.
district.
That's great. Yeah. And that's why I asked, because you do have to tell those stories and share those stories in a way that protects individuals and their experience, but also at the same time honors individuals and their experience, right? And the work and time and effort that it goes into being successful in school. So it's a fine line. How many, is it just you in your department? Are you a department of one, or do you have additional staff in the communications office?
So I do have additional staff.
Okay.
What is under my department is the complete responsibility of a huge printing department for the
Okay.
district. So we have a print shop. So I have one person who does an amazing job handling that department. Then there's basically just two of us that work on telling the story.
Okay.
There's three of us, but our print shop person, many times she is so booked with that. If she can, she'll step away and help us. And that's through covering the events that happen in our school
Yeah.
district, making sure that we're getting all of that information out that's timely for, things like enrollment and all of
Yes.
those things, less exciting pieces, but very, very
Very
important.
important.
And so we are just, we're busy
Yeah.
a lot, but we want to make sure that we are maintaining integrity and letting our parents know what is going on. Even if we have tough situations, which we do have,
Hmm.
we make sure that we're telling them right away so that they can hear from us. So that's what we hope our parents think too. And we ask them, maybe a little bit too often, tell us how we're doing and what you think or how we could be better. But certainly that's what our jobs are. And I love it.
When you
We love serving our families.
Absolutely, right. When you do those surveys, does anything come back that's surprising to you? Or I guess let me ask the question another way. How do families right now desire to receive communication? Do they enjoy receiving text messages? Are they primarily email? Do they want phone calls? When you're getting some of that data back, has any of that surprised you or altered kind of your overall communication style?
We have made a significant change. This is a second year for us. We use a communication platform, which, like I said, is just very direct. Teachers can
Hmm.
send photos, videos, whatever to the parents. The parents can receive it in their language preference, and they
Hmm.
can then reply to the teacher. And if the teacher is not Spanish speaking, she is still receiving that information
Okay, great.
where she can read it. So there's that really great back and forth. We also support classrooms with paras who are bilingual. And so, like I said, serve 20 different languages. So we try to make sure that we have somebody meeting all of the language needs in our classrooms.
Great.
And this has tremendously impacted our community or our family engagement.
It's huge.
It's tremendous. So that is our number one tool.
Great.
And then secondarily is our social media for things that's really great for our community to
Hmm.
know and see what's going on. And then, of course, our radio shows. So that works very well for parents and for community members too. But so far, we're seeing a very significant increase in that engagement, meaning that back and forth
Yeah.
communication at every level. And that's what we were looking for when we made that change
Yeah.
2
Now
years
you're
ago.
able to communicate in the preferred
It,
language
it,
that
it
they're
is
asking for.
it
So
has been
huge.
provided a tremendous impact for us in our community, and we continue to learn from our families.
What they need.
Right, because now we have Gen Zs that are in our family group and our parents,
Yeah.
and they're amazing and wonderful, and so they want to get that information when they're ready to receive it.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that's available to them.
That's so cool. Well, I know you're going to be joining the Peachjar family, which is
Yes,
fantastic.
yes,
So
we are looking forward to that.
super excited to have Dodge City Public Schools as part of the Peachjar family, and I guess maybe one note on that as it relates to this communication piece and why it's so important is that it's differentiated strategic communication. That your platform is
Absolutely.
huge, and your parents know that when they receive an email through your mass notifications platform, that's pertinent to my child's academic day, their academic career. It's from the principal, the teacher, it's from maybe you at the district or the superintendent. And then that after school enrichment, those community enrichment opportunities, those national enrichment opportunities coming through Peachjar still lands in the same space in their inbox, but they see it's different and they know
Absolutely.
which one needs to take time.
It
in that
is
moment.
helping us with our communication strategy because we want to keep that separate, and
Yep.
we'll be sending that out at a very specific time.
Scheduled distribution.
Absolutely. And it also will be in a spot where parents can go back to it. Like, I received that flyer. I want to sign my son up for soccer. This will be fantastic for him.
Yeah.
And they don't have to go and search. They know exactly where to go to get that information. Yep. And it will be delivered separately.
Yep.
And I feel like that's a much better way to communicate with our parents. So we are thrilled.
Yeah.
That solves a big problem for us because we were really struggling with that flyer management. In our community, some of those programs are just part of being in our community.
Yes.
And we didn't want to say no. We're not going to share that information because that's just what
we're a family.
It just provides those extra experiences, those curricular activities that are great for students. Students who are involved achieve higher academics. Mm-hmm. So very important part, but we wanted that to be delivered separately. Yeah. And so it's going to help us provide better communication to our families.
Yeah, that's so smart. Absolutely. And that was what I found in my districts as well that I rolled out Peachjar in, and just being able to separate the two just strategically made a lot more sense for everyone. And like you said, parents were able to go back, find that flyer really easy, not trying to find it in a backpack or figure out what email it was sent out in.
Absolutely. And great. It's just, everybody's a little bit fatigued with the information that they receive. Yeah. And so we try to balance that. And this just takes that to the next level for us.
It's very true. What's funny is leading into COVID, for those of us that were in the game, we would hear like, you're not being transparent, you're not being open enough, you're not, communicating enough. And then we went through the pandemic, and then it's like, okay, all right, okay, it's too much. I can't keep up with all the emails. I can't keep up with all the social media. My teacher's emailing me, my principal's emailing me, the superintendent's got a newsletter each week. Like it is fatiguing, and it can be overwhelming, which is really important that we are able to compartmentalize streams of communication. And, for a long time it was one-stop shop. I want one platform that does it all. But as it turns out, it is really important to have very specific compartmentalized structures so that parents know when and where and how to get the information that they want.
Absolutely. And that just helps keep them from missing maybe some very important information, and yet providing opportunities for them to help grow and enrich their child and their educational experience.
That's so true. Well, very happy to catch up on Dodge City Public Schools. I haven't been to the city of Dodge in almost probably 2 decades at this point. Got to get back out there.
We would invite you back out.
I love it out there. If you are ever in the area, it's definitely worth a stop. A lot of history in Dodge City.
Tremendous.
A lot of really cool stories. The Old West.
Boot Hill Museum. I mean, we have just some really good things. It's a great place to come and stop. And the people are friendly. They're wonderful. Yeah. And so we would invite you anytime. That's
awesome. Yeah. So definitely check out Dodge City if you get out in that area. Or even if you're local enough that you can take the day trip out there. Well worth it. Well, thank you so much, Kerri, for just hanging out with me this morning and kind of talking through what's going on there at Dodge and how y'all are handling some of the communication strategies there around some of the programs that you're working through. I really loved the idea of working with your local businesses and organizations. That really struck a chord with me. Pulling out legislators, getting people from the state capitol out to see your programs. The support there is huge. And as a result of that, like some of your kids are going to the governor's office by invitation. I mean, that's just really incredible. Not every district gets to do that. But the districts that are out there saying, hey, we want you to be part of what we're doing, are then invited to be a part of what they're doing, which I think is really incredible. So really great stuff.
Oh, thank you, Matthew. And thank you for taking time to visit with me.
Absolutely. Well, I'll release you back to the Kansas Conference
the
50th celebration and all the cool things that are happening with that. But again, thank you so much for being here. If you have any questions about some of the programs and services and offerings that they have going on here, I know that Kerri would take your call.
Absolutely.
I know. I just know that about us comms people, right? We're happy to share. We're happy to talk about what we've got going on and our successes and even our failures and things we'd like to do different. So don't hesitate to reach out to either one of us if you have any questions. Get in there in those comments. We'd be happy to get in there and participate with that too. But if you like this, please like, share, comment, follow for more. We got a lot more content coming at you on Peachjar Extra Credit, so stay tuned. We'll see you.
Take care.